The B2B companies pulling ahead right now aren't necessarily doing more. They're doing the right things and cutting what doesn't work. B2B Debunked is a show where we'll get into what actually moves the needle and what's just noise. I'm Nora Leary, the VP of Growth at Iron Paper, and this is B2B Debunked. Today, I am joined by Nicole Ward, a Senior Marketing Director here at Iron Paper. Welcome, Nicole.
Hi, welcome. Thanks for having me.
So if your marketing team is saying that your SEO strategy will cover your AI search presence, they are wrong. SEO gets you ranked in Google's list of links, but AEO gets you cited by tools like ChatGPT, Perplexity, and those really amazing Google AI overviews. So we're sort of debunking this myth right off the bat. AI is the places where your buyers are increasingly going for answers. So you could still be at number one for Google because you have really strong SEO, but totally invisible to AI. So let's break this down, Nicole. First, what actually determines whether a brand gets cited by AI?
Yeah, great question. So it's really going to come down to topic authority and answer clarity. So AI is going to be asking, does this source clearly answer the question? And does it consistently cover this topic in depth? And that's a very different thing to optimize for than like traditional search signals like keywords.
So two separate outcomes, two separate strategies.
Exactly.
So I think we're seeing a lot of companies don't really realize that there's a switch until they see a traffic drop. Is that
Yeah.
what you're seeing with clients?
Yeah, exactly. They don't realize it till they start to see this traffic drop. And we've started seeing brands lose traffic anywhere from like 20 to 60%. And they can't figure out why. And it's because their SEO optimized content just isn't pulling its weight anymore.
Yep. So we can kind of flip this around and talk about, why this is happening is because of buyer behavior. So we are ourselves B2B buyers, and I think we can all recognize that we're putting more and more into AI search tools. We can write more, we can describe what we need, and we're all doing that before we go to a brand's website. And the great thing is we're getting a synthesized answer and then we can move on. So what do you think this means for how companies think about visibility?
Yeah. So, as you mentioned, like 90% of B2B buyers are going straight to an AI platform to start doing their research. So, this means like the highest intent buyers, the ones who know what they need and they're ready to start researching, they're never going to go to your site. And this becomes a problem because your site is your main entry point for lead generation. But they're going to get their short list from AI and they're going to start reaching out to those companies. And if your content isn't getting picked up by those LLMs, you're never even going to make it on that short list.
Yeah, I think a lot of companies really maybe think and hope that their LLMs might pull information from their website, but they're actually pulling from LinkedIn, Reddit, third-party publications. So we're seeing brands lose control about how their brand is described unless they're building active authority and presence in those places.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is like a big mindset shift for marketers because those public conversations, we used to kind of just be able to, ignore them unless you were doing specific campaigns to, increase your positive Google reviews. But now they matter way more than they ever did in the world of SEO because AEO is looking for these widespread public mentions of your brand. So being talked about and in a positive way in these public forums is super important while also being cited by these third party credible sources, like news outlets. And this is how AI is deciding who to trust.
Okay, so for anyone listening that is convinced they need an AEO strategy, where should they start? What should people be doing? What should we do differently?
So, the first thing is going to be to audit the content that you already have for answer readiness. So, you might have a page that ranks really well, but the answer could still be buried halfway down the page, and AI is not going to go digging for it. So, you need direct answers right near the top. You need your content structured around the questions that your buyers are asking and very much in the way that they're asking the question and not just the keywords that you want to rank for. And this all needs to be structured with clear semantic HTML and schema that helps LLMs understand both the structure and the meaning. So, an FAQ page is like a great example of that.
Yeah. I think one more thing is that some people might think, okay, I start to cover a topic, this is going to get picked up by AI search engines. But there's a really big difference between just throwing a few blog posts up on a subject and then versus being a source that really consistently and comprehensively addresses it. And AI obviously is rewarding the latter. So the good news is AEO doesn't replace your SEO investment. The two can really work together, but we need to be intentional about building both.
Yeah, absolutely. And if companies treat them the same, they're going to eventually find that they're going to become invisible to their buyers.
Yeah, which is going to be a big, big problem, big implications on revenue. So to sum up, SEO can still get you found, but AEO will get you chosen. Right now, being chosen is where the buyer journey is starting. So if your content and your website is not built to be selected and summarized and trusted by AI, you're leaving a lot of opportunity on the table. Nicole, thank you so much. Thanks for joining us. Subscribe so you never miss an episode, and we'll see you next time.